G'day, I'm Wazza, and today I'm going to show you how to go fishing, and then we're going to catch one. Welcome to this episode of Wazza's Boomerang Adventures, and today we're going to be continuing our survival series. This episode we will be looking at catching fish. So there's a lot of little things you got to learn when you're fishing. If you haven't ever done fishing before, you can be very easily overwhelmed by all the lots of little skills that you have to pick up to actually get right into it. But today I want to show you the basics of fishing, so anybody who hasn't done any fishing before will be able to watch this video, implement it, and be in for a good chance of catching yourself a feed out of your local waterway, if there's fish in it. I will be showing you how to fish with one of these. So it's the most simple form of fishing as far as line fishing goes, and I'll be showing you from the start to putting on the rig to then putting it in the frying pan and cooking it up. That is if we catch a fish. If we don't catch a fish today, I do have another spot where I can go and guarantee a fish being caught, so we'll do the catch and cook there on another episode, but hopefully today we can catch ourselves a trout. I'll be going down to a local river and seeing how we go there. So let's focus in on tying the rig on a line and show you how that's done. Now I'm going to assume that you have bought yourself one of these or got yourself a sort of a stick to wrap the line around. This is really not going to help you catch the fish having something like this, but it will help you cast into the water and also store your line on something when you're not using it. So I recommend you get one of these. Now I'm also going to be showing you on these larger things here so you can see what I'm doing, but normally you would be using gear about that small. I'll be teaching you two knots, the half blood knot and the uni knot, and if you know those two knots you'll actually get by from almost all your fishing needs, and certainly the basics that I'm teaching you today. So I'm going to be using, I think a jigsaw. There, I'll give you a pat. Okay, now you can go. Off you go. I'm going to have to lock you up, aren't I? So one thing to know from the start, there are two types of line. There's braid and there's monofilament line. We shall be practicing on this string, and we will be first pretending that we are using monofilament line. And the knot that suits that is the half blood knot. This is the simplest knot you could ever use. So when you first got your line, you've got no hook or sinker on it, you need to cut off about a foot or a little bit longer perhaps of line, like that. Then you need to get your sinker. Now, so this line, this rope could go through it. I've had to use this large star sinker, so normally you would put it right through the middle of the sinker. This is a big surf sinker, but let's just pretend I'm going through the middle of a smaller sinker like that one there. So go through there, then you get your swivel, put your line through the eye of that swivel. This is very simple. Hold the two bits together like that, and then you go round 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Get that tag in there and go back through the hole that's between the swivel and the first loop, the first twist. So go back down through there, and then you just gently pull that up like that, and that will form what's called a half blood knot. You just gently manipulate it. Now if this is, well, you should always do it anyway, monofilament, you should put a bit of spit on there to lubricate it. Helps it slide up the line and finish your hook being, finish your knot being nice and tight. And then also stops it from overheating and then weakening the line. So you would normally just get a bit of water or spit, put it on there, then you pull it up tight, and then that's done. Then you do get the piece of line that you already cut, put it on the other side, do the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, put it back through that hole there, next to the eye, pull it up tight again, wet it again, lubricate it, otherwise it doesn't go up tight enough and it could damage the knot through the heat generated. So then you give that a tight pull there. Now for your hook, it's the exact same knot, half blood knot again, through the eye, and 4 spins again, 1, 2, 3, 4, back through there, start giving a bit of tension, pulling up that knot, then you would wet it, and then pull it up tight, like that. Then, got to cut off your tag ends. Don't cut them too close to your eye of the hook or the eye of the swivels, just in case it moves a little bit. So you leave a little bit of a spot that, or length that can be taken up by, so like that, or maybe even a little bit shorter. I just couldn't do it because it's using a knife on string, not a knife on line, but you get the idea. It will be probably less than a couple of millimeters, or yeah, less than 3 millimeters long. Now that is called a running sinker rig, because the sinker is literally running along, it moves. So when the fish bite, they come along and they'll come to the hook and grab the worm, and they'll pull that along, and then the line goes through, so they can't feel it. And they're more likely to then continue to swallow it and get hooked properly. You'll also trim those bits there as well, but I won't do that now because just for demonstration purposes. Now that is for monofilament line, and the monofilament is that straight line, and the braid is like it's different stuff. It's actually like a rope, and it's very different to nylon line. I'll just demonstrate the difference. So that's normal nylon line there, that blue stuff, or could be any colour, green. All the stuff that's already on this fishing reel here, that's mono braid. I don't have any on me, but it's like string. It's like a very fine version of this stuff. Now the reason why we have a second knot to teach you, which is called the uni knot, is because that half blood knot won't work on braid. And also it's good to know the uni knot because it is the strongest knot, or one of the strongest, arguably the strongest. So I'll just show you on the hook how to do this knot. So if it was braid, you would use right the way through on the swivel as well as on the hook. But we'll just show you on the hook how to do this uni knot. So you go through the eye of the hook like that. Then you fold it over, so you've got a parallel line there. And then come back around and make a loop like that. Then you go through this hole here 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Grab that tag end there, pull that up there till it's made its knot. Then you would wet that with some spit or a bit of water. Don't pull it up tight yet. Grab the main line with this hand, grab your hook and you gently pull it that way and it'll find its way up to the eye. Then pull it a little bit tighter. Then pull your tag end fairly tight at that point, and then your main line again, and that'll finish sliding it up to the eye. And then just give them both a bit of a tug, and that's done. Now that is a very simple way to have a very strong knot. That's called the uni knot. And there we go. Now, let's go get ourselves a worm. So trout quite like worms, but you've got to go for earthworms or European night crawlers, African night crawlers. I find just the usual generic earthworms really good, but try to stay away from those red wrigglers or red worms, because sometimes fish really don't like those. I've had no success on using red mulch worms for bait. So find a spot that you know there's going to be a bit of wet soil, and use a fork, a garden fork. Don't use a shovel if you can, because shovels, of course, they're going to cut your worms in half a lot of the time, and it's better having a full-sized worm. Also, when you use a little bucket to get your worms in, have one with a nice big open top so you can get your hand in and get the bait out. It's really annoying to have a tin can or something and trying to pull small worms out of a small tin can half a day. It starts to get really irritating. And don't put too much dirt in your container as well, because you're sifting through dirt the whole day. You know, it might be this deep in there, and it's all your worms usually end up in the bottom, and you've got to pull dirt out of the way the whole time. So keep it fairly shallow and use damp, not really wet dirt. And then when you're done there, put a damp rag over the top to keep them cool and moist as well, because they will die if they're drying out and in the hot sun. Okay, so pretty good amount of worms just here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's one of those mulch worms that I was talking about. I'm not going to use him. Now I can tell because he's a bit red. So we'll go for these paler ones. There are more pale worms in here. That's what we're after. That's the one. That one there. Okay, so there's the difference there. And the red ones I don't like, that's the earthworms there. They're good. Alright, so there is a pretty good collection of worms in there. Enough for definitely a session that I'm doing. So we put just a little bit of dirt, on them, with a little bit of sort of mulchy stuff as well, so it's not too compacted in there. And that's actually damp enough, the soil's damp enough, and we'll now put a wet rag on that and go fishing. Well, I decided to go fishing in the local billabong because we had some fires, bushfires, that were stopping me from getting to my other spot, and then we had floods. So I've chosen somewhere a bit more local and easier to go fishing in, but it does mean that I'm probably going to be catching European carp. If I'm lucky, I might catch a redfin, Really lucky I might catch a bass, but it's probably going to be carp. So it doesn't mean that we can't learn on carp to go fishing on, but we won't be learning to eat them, that's for sure, because they're going to taste just like mud. I've tried them before. So first of all, I'll show you how to put on a worm on the hook. It's a little bit finicky, but the trick is to not put too much worm on your hook, and because fish aren't that fussed about how much worm they get, they just want to get something. So I get a worm, it's just a medium-sized worm there for a small hook, and we'll just put him on here like that, pinch him between your thumb and your forefinger, and try to go right up the middle of the worm. Don't bunch it, just sort of thread it on. And it's a good idea too to start at the tail. Start at the tail end of the worm. There's a head and a tail to a worm. I put it through the tail of the worm, so the head is the pointy bit that's looking for everything, and the tail is the bit that's following, just in case anybody wants to know. So you need that head doing the work for you and attracting the fish to the hook. That is pretty good. Not badly presented. It could be presented a bit better than that, but that's the rough shape. Anything that's going to, if anything's going to grab that, it will be grabbing the hook. Pretty much, if it's going to grab any part of that worm. It'll stay alive in the water for quite a long time, attracting fish, so you just need that bit of movement. Alright, now let's go cast it in. So with these, just do a gentle cast, hold it that way, face the sort of like the cone shape that direction. Then you don't have to fling it around and be all athletic about it. Just point it towards the water, just gentle swinging, and then let it go. There you go. Landed right in the middle. So you can just hold it if you want, and you just feel with your hand when the fish starts to bite. Just wind in a little bit of that slack. That gives you a good connection down to the sinker. So you can feel the weight of the sinker a little bit. While I'm waiting for that fish to find that worm, I will be casting another line in, just to double my chances, and I'm going to use my fishing rod and see how we go there. It doubles your chances if you've got two lines in the water, and I can do that legally, so let's put this down here. Alright, well now it's just a waiting game, and we just keep an eye on our lines until we see some movement there, and then I'll show you the next thing to do. Well, it's clearly that these fish are not hungry. I've been here for long enough now. They've been swimming right past the bait and not taking any sort of an interest in it at all. So they're probably either got a guts full, or they are focusing on breeding at the moment because of the way the water is. So I'll come back in a day or two, or go to another spot and see if I can land one for you and show you what to do with the fish then. Well, I've changed spots again. I'm down at this place called Strait. It's a connection between two lakes, two large lakes, estuary lakes, and there's too much flooding in the other places for me to go to get a fish. So we're going to try this spot. Hasn't been affected too much by the floods, so I shall be Casting out my hand line out here. Seeing how we go here. Now there should be estuary fish in here. Hoping for a brim, an estuary perch, or maybe even flathead. See how we go. Right, there is a strong current, but I'm going to stick sort of just this side of the current, close to the bank, and see how we go there to start with. I'm just going to use the worm, and just a normal earthworm can work in estuaries okay. And I'm going to put out my other line, which is on my rod, and I'll try a bit of chicken on that. And I'll keep that one nice and close too. And I'm going to, there's a little tiny little bay, like someone's, I think they've dug it out for a boat ramp type setup perhaps, I'm not sure. And I'm going to put burley into that spot. I'm going to use braid and just crumb it and just put it in the water and see if I can attract a fish into that area. That's just another technique of fishing, is burleying, so we'll see how that goes. So one thing about fishing is that it is a type of hunting. So with any form of hunting, you've got to be a bit quieter. Right? Don't want to scare away the things you're trying to catch, because they don't want to be caught. So don't yell, don't make sort of big movements, no stomping. Give yourself a chance. I saw some fish then, I saw a fish in the water anyway. I've also set up this little thing here which I've never done before. Just took advantage of some reeds that are growing on the side of the bank, because it can be annoying if you have to hold on to your line the whole time. You can just plonk a reed down right next to the water's edge in the mud, loop your line over the top of it, and just watch your reed. And if you see a bite, if you see it bending over, well, you've got yourself a fish. You don't have to hold on to the line the whole time. That's the advantage of a rod over a hand line. But yeah, just getting used to this idea, it's working out quite well. I saw that bite on that reed before. Right, I'm just getting a few bites here. Gone quiet again. I just checked the bait. He might have stolen my worm. Oh, how the heck did that happen? Wow. I've just been bitten off completely. Hardly tugged on the line to do that. The only thing that would do that around here is tailor. I think they're called bluefish in other parts of the world, or shaddock. So that's 15-pound lines, and that's been completely cut off. Definitely wasn't my fault. So I'm going to have to re-rig. Well, at least we know they're biting. Okay, we have a fish on, and it's reasonable. Yep, he's fighting. So here we go here. Oh. And it's a carp. Come to a nice estuary like this. And we have a good sized carp. How lovely. Okay. So, the idea is bring him over to your net. Slowly bring him towards you. Okay. Head in first. And that's a good landing. There he is. Fantastic. Well, it was a little bit sarcastic, but good sized fish. Put this on the bigger camera. Turn her on. I did not expect to catch a carp here. I thought that was going to be a nice eating fish, but I have been told off in the past by somebody on YouTube to not waste the fish that are in the waters if they're a feral animal. See, legally I can't throw these back in the water live, so I've got to actually kill them. And I'm certainly not going to be putting them back in live for the public to see. So I will be dispatching of this animal, but I'm going to make use of it. This time I'm going to feed it to the animals. So it's probably a, I don't know, 2 kilogram or 4 or 5 pound fish. So yeah, I've got a lot of chickens, a lot of chooks that'll love this. So I'll show you what you do with them. Interesting about these carp, I didn't know until recently, but these carp have a very sharp serrated dorsal spine here. So careful you don't get stabbed by that. I got stabbed by that a few fish ago and it really hurt. So anyway, we'll take this one home and we'll cook him up. Alright, so we've cooked up our fish and we're going to go give it to the chooks. So even though as far as survival goes it hasn't been going directly into our mouths, it's going to be going into our mouth via a chook. So eggs are protein and they need, well, the animals need protein to make protein, so we're going to be doing that right now. Let's see if they enjoy it. I'm pretty sure they will. So I've essentially poached the fish in the camp oven and I cooled it down, and now I'm just going to chuck it in their enclosure, in the chook's enclosure, and see how much they like it. I will say it actually isn't the same fish. I've already taken this footage and I lost it, so it doesn't matter. The animals won't complain. Look at them, their beaks are watering. Yep. Happy customers. Alright. I'll get some more for the ones who are closer to the bottom of the pecking order. There we go. And some more. Alright. It's good. Just about it. Now, let's tip that out. There we go. Very good. That's our little journey of getting food. Now, next episode, I need a few suggestions. So, I could go fishing again and see if I can catch another fish that's much more palatable for me to eat, and I'll do a catch and cook the proper way. Or I could do something very different, go bow hunting or make up a slingshot or something and see what we can catch in the wild with those. But give me some suggestions and I'll have a look at the comments and I'll catch you on the next episode.